Some people like to do a spring cleaning on their house. Well, I just did a purge of my shares portfolio. I had a lot of dead weight and they had to go, even though I was selling at a loss. It sounds weird, but it was a really hard decision because I'd become emotionally attached to these shares, which is against our own rule: never involve emotion when investing. But I had been invested and following these stocks for years, so it was only natural.
Some people say that you should never sell at a loss, whereas others say run your winners and sell your losers. So, which train of thought is correct, and when should you sell your shares?
In this video, we're going to be talking about the 5 alternative reasons of when to sell a stock that don't get mentioned that often, and we'll even be checking out the stocks that I sold and why. Let's check it out.
Welcome to Money Unshackled, the investment channel that sets you and your finances free. This is Andy, I'm Ben, and if you like what we have to say, click the like button and hit subscribe.
Also, on moneyunshackled.com, there's a ton of investment articles on there that you can read while you're bored at work. And we have hundreds of pounds of welcome bonuses that you can snap up if you sign up to one of the investment platforms listed on the offers page. The link is in the description below. Let's get into the video. There are loads of reasons to sell a stock, and you'll find a ton of YouTube videos all telling you the same reasons. When a stock is overvalued, looming recession, slowing profits, cutting dividend, new major competitor entering the market, directors are selling their stakes, plus so many more.
Now these are great and genuine reasons, but we have compiled a list of alternatives that get rarely looked at. Number 1, everyone is talking about the stock market. Normally, outside of successful circles, nobody talks about business, the economy, or the stock market. When nobody's talking about the stock market, it's probably because it's ticking along just fine.
But as soon as you start hearing Joey down the pub talking about the stock market and how much he's making, then it might be time to sell. Joey doesn't normally invest, and Joey has never shown any interest in investing before, but for some reason, Joey is now investing. Who's Joey? Joey is just a normal person. In times like this, we're running for the hills, as markets are probably in bubble territory.
Though not a share, a good example of this is when Bitcoin was running at almost $20,000 a few years back. People were jumping on the bandwagon, people that had never invested in their life, and then they lost big time.
Number 2, allocation too small, time waster. Selling a stock only because the price has fallen is a bad idea. If the fundamentals of the company haven't changed, then there is little reason to sell a stock. However, on occasion, the share price will fall below what you consider to be worth your time. If you've seen our videos before, you might be wondering why we bang on about time so much. Well, time is money, or to put it another way, money buys you time. We want money not to buy fancy things, but to create time for ourselves. If a stock consumes more of our time than it creates, then it's time to sell.
Investing in shares properly requires research before a share purchase and for however long you hold that stock. This requires significant time. If you are buying small monetary amounts and the value falls further, is it still worth your time to even think about that stock? Probably not. Get rid.
Number 3, loss aversion bias. You bought a dud and you know you should sell, but you've lost a few quid and you feel like you can't sell. You're hoping that it will recover so you can then sell once you've broken even.
Let's say you bought a stock for £1,000, but it's since fallen to £800 because it was a dud. You should cut your losses, accept you made a mistake, and move on. But no, you can't seem to make yourself sell that stock. This is loss aversion bias.
It could take years to recover, and it may not even recover at all. If the stock was then to rise from £800 to £900, it doesn't justify the decision not to sell it in the first place on its own. The rest of the market could have increased by a far larger percentage, which means by holding onto the dud, you had an opportunity cost. It has cost you even more money. Not cool.
Number 4, rebalancing. There comes a time, maybe once a year or sooner, that a portfolio needs to be rebalanced. Some of your stocks will have risen in value, others fallen. This causes your allocation to drastically change from your original intention, which exposes you to greater risks and possibly lower future returns.
As a result, you should sell some of the successful shares and reallocate the money to the worst performers to rebalance. This may sound counterintuitive, but if you don't, you will soon find that all your eggs are in one basket.
Number 5. Your goals have changed. Over a lifetime, your goals are bound to change. It's inevitable. For example, it's often said that young people should be taking more risk and so should probably invest in companies that have high expectation of growth but pay little to no dividend.
But later in life, you'll probably need an income, so you'll want to invest in dividend-paying stocks. Those exciting growth stocks may no longer suit your requirements, and you may want to invest in big, dependable, but often boring dividend-paying stocks.
These may no longer have the chance to double in price, but those divvies are what you need right now. No matter what your goals, make sure that your portfolio can match them.
What did I sell and why? I took an axe to my portfolio and sold 4 stocks: Centrica, Vodafone, Royal Mail and GVC. The main reason for selling them is that they had fallen in value since I purchased them. This wasn't the end of the world because they were still paying dividends, but the amount I held was now not worth my time.
Our lives have changed from the days when we had the time to analyse stocks in detail. We now spend vast swathes of time establishing our businesses, so there is little point in spending excess unnecessary time analysing individual, almost worthless stocks.
It's been a strategy of mine for quite some time that I've moved my money away from individual stocks and more towards index funds and ETFs because they provide a great return with far less hassle.
Also, many of these stocks have had dividend cuts, making them less lucrative than they were before, and each of them in their own way faces horrendous political pressure and increased competition. Take GVC, which owns Ladbrokes and Coral. The government is out to minimise the impact of gambling on society and tax it to the hilt. We see advertising bans on gambling adverts, similar to those on smoking, in the not too distant future.
On these stocks, I bailed out late, but not too late.
Finally, on stocks that you're considering selling, you have to ask yourself, would I buy this stock today at its current value? If the answer is no, then why not sell it and buy something that you would want to buy? Remember, the past is in the past, it's the future that counts.
Question of the day: what was the last stock that you sold and why? Let us know in the comment section. Thanks for watching! On this channel we talk a lot about personal finance, investing and all things money. If you want to see more great content, please click the subscribe button below.
This is moneyunshackled.com. See you next time.